Okay, so finished up with the carbs here, just finishing the installation. Going to do up the intake boots there, the clamps on those. I took them apart according to the method that the climber manual talks about, which is to rotate them down and pull back into the softer rubber boots here, pull back a bit and pull them out. But what I found was the linkage for the choke would catch on this boot, and it was just a real bear to get out of there. It was very difficult. It just all got caught up with the throttle cables and the choke linkage. So kind of sat and looked at it a little bit, and I thought, you know what, can you do it different than the climber manual describes as far as reinstalling them? Because it basically says, you know, the reverse of the removal is the same as what the installation is. So what I did was I didn't put on the throttle cables or the choke cable, and I did of course put on the intake boots and onto the carbs, and it was a much easier. They rotated, they went down low, and then I was able to bring them up, push them into the intake boots, which gave me lots of room to get these on, and then just put in the machine screws, the bolts, and tighten it all up. Now, here's the caveat for that is you got to play with putting on the cables while the carbs are here. And it is a little tricky, but I mean the gas tank's not in the way. And I was able to get my hand up under. The rear cable was throttle cable was a little trickier. The front one was really easy. That one was not difficult at all, but got them in there, a little bit of finessing them. The choke cable was a bit tricky though, so with that what I ended up doing, I did it from the right side of the bike, and just get a light in there. You can see there's not a lot of room to play in there, so I basically came in over the right carburetor and just went at it that way. But what I used was these long needle nose pliers that I have. These short ones, the regular size one here, or more regular size one, they just weren't long enough to get in there, but this one was. But even with that, I still was playing, oops, sorry about that. I was playing with the cable with my left hand from the other side of the bike just to kind of position it, and then on this side going at the cable end and putting it into the linkage with the needle nose. So that's done now. So the next step will be to hook everything up. I'm going to put in a fuel filter, inline fuel filter, so that I don't get all that junk back into the carbs again. And one of the things, I think I mentioned it yesterday, about you know, taking the bike apart and seeing things that are wrong. And if you look here, you can see the coil, and I'll come around a little closer. There we go. So the coil, and it's like, I just hate seeing this. So I know that the wires for sure are going to be replaced. The coil may be okay, but I mean, you know, there's electrical tape on the end of the spark plug lead and on this end of the spark plug lead, which, you know, begs the question, why? Why is that there? Were they pulling out? Is that all it is? And I'm not going to bother taking it off. The bike ran. So I'm just going to do this. My new tires are supposed to be in, so I'll just put the tires on it, and I'll get a little bit of use out of it for the rest of the summer before I really delve into tearing this thing down in this winter. But man, I hate to see that. You know, fix this, just a list. I'm just making a list of stuff that needs to be addressed, and that's now on the list. So anyway, so that's the carbs. Next step after putting in the fuel line filter is putting on the tank and going and taking it for a spin and trying out my cleaning job, and hopefully that was it. Oh, one other thing I was going to do was I was going to take out the spark plugs and just make sure that they're good and clean and that they're properly gapped. I just want to make sure that the mist that I was getting wasn't because there's something wrong with the firing system, the ignition system. I assumed it was the carburation because it would work at higher RPMs, but that could just as easily be the ignition system. So anyway, more to come. Fun, fun, fun.